Boom, 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 everybody. Happy Saturday to you there. My name is Don Terrell. I want to welcome you to another great episode of The Color of Motion, where I like to say, hey, stories come in all shades and highlight people of color and diverse backgrounds in the industry of motion graphics, animation, visual effects, cartoons, and comics. This space that I love, love, love so much. You know the drill. Hop into the comments and say, hey, where you tuning in from, while I make sure that we are playing on all the channels here, which I'm seeing that I'm having an issue with Instagram. So I am on YouTube. YouTube is going. Facebook, let me start this. Facebook. I hate Facebook because you have to start it yourself. Okay, let me make sure we are rocking on LinkedIn, which it looks like we are. Looks like Instagram is the only one that's giving me issues for something. Let me see if I can restart it. Mm. Ah, yep. We may be having an issue on link or Instagram, but we're gonna rock and roll anyway. Hold on. Like I said, I always appreciate you giving me a little bit of your time every Saturday afternoon. We are here 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, live to the. Let me jump over here. I'm supposed to be on this thing. We are live on LinkedIn, on our LinkedIn channel. And obviously, you can find us on our Facebook group. I always encourage everybody to get plugged into the Facebook group community. That's one of the places where you can connect with other members and artists that have been here on the show, get questions answered, and really engage with other creators. The Facebook group and obviously Instagram, if we were rocking and rolling on Instagram, but I'm getting the message that we're having an issue with the Instagram, and I'm not going to be able to fix it during the live. So, Instagram is officially giving me fits today. But I always encourage everybody to hop over to the YouTube channel, get plugged in, subscribe, like, share. That's where you can, you know, get plugged in and really connect with all the everybody else. That's kind of a central place where I'm trying to get everybody connected in. You can go to Don Terrell, YouTube, Don Terrell, and subscribe. Like I said, share. We are so close. We hit 900 subscribers last week. We're inching our way to 1,000 subscriber. I definitely know that we can hit that by the end of the year, way before the end of the year. Really, we should be able to. But definitely like, share, subscribe. YouTube channel. That's where everybody is located at. Also, I have to put it out there. I definitely need your support. I can't do this without you. Like I said on the post, I can't do any of this without you, the viewers, supporting the content and channel. As I work on the Patreon page, you can support us here at Buy Me a Coffee / Don Terrell. I love a good cup of coffee. Not too many. Who does it? My guest here was talking about a latte. So we might be sipping lattes during the show, but I'm super excited about today's episode and been looking forward to it. As always, I have to say, I appreciate, and I know my viewers always support regardless, and they know whatever happens live, happens live. We've been rocking and rolling through 6 seasons, so you know how live streams go. You just have to kind of roll with them. And this quarter has started out kind of bumpy. So for sure, we've had a few rocky points here, but as always, I appreciate you, the viewers, being patient and sticking around, sticking through it with us. And as always, I always appreciate our guests and friends that are, sticking with us and really, being supportive through the whole thing as well. Let me hop over here. to this. Again, hop into the comments. I always say I like this show to be an interactive show. You have an opportunity to really dive in, ask guests a lot of questions, and I know I take advantage of it. When I have the guests on, asking them questions of things that I want to know, and definitely you should be doing that as well, taking advantage of these super super talented artists and friends that come by the studio and really share. Um, Especially in this time that we're in as creatives, we need to kind of stick together and support one another. What else? I want to make sure I get everything in. But again, I also want to make sure that we are having as little of issues as we can. But again, hop into the comments, say, hey, where you tuning in from? Today's episode, again, I've been looking forward to. We're going to dive into talking about games and animation. So without further ado, I don't want to drag this out any more than it has to be. We're going to get this show on the road. What do you say? Wow, that one almost took. We are back. Man, I had a little loud pitch there in my ear. Feedback. All right. I hope you are as excited about this episode and ready to dive into this episode as I am. I'm super, super. We were talking a little bit before the show, but super looking forward to sitting down and really have a good conversation with our next guest and friend. He's from Buenos Aires, Argentina, and is a gameplay animator with a film background, and which allowed him to see gameplay and storytelling from a different perspective. His passion for anime and a child drove him to study drawing, manga, and pursue a career as an animation cinema director. He started the career in 3D advertising, where he learned to work under tight deadlines, adapt quickly to different clients and pipelines, and collaborate with multidisciplinary teams. During the pandemic, he transitioned into the games industry where he found the opportunity to focus on gameplay, animation, and the player experience. Games are getting really sophisticated lately, even more and more. Over the years, he's worked on both indie and AAA projects and eventually stepped into a lead animator role. What he enjoys most about leadership isn't the title itself, but helping the team do their best work, whether that's mentoring other animators, improving workflows, collaborating with designers and engineers, or making sure the creative vision is carried through from concept to implementation. Everybody, please help me welcome our very special guest and friend, Mr. Oscar Hector Castro.
Hello. Good morning and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once more to the Color of Motion.
Oscar, man, thank you so much for being on the show. And as always, thank you for being I have to say this to all my guests, because of the issues we have, but I can't thank you enough for being on the show and being a trooper through all the little stuff. But I'm super been looking forward to talking with you about just your journey through the industry, what you learned over this time, and the tips and insight that you can share, with viewers. I always like to start with what was it that you know got you initially interested in animation and gameplay? Was there a specific thing that you saw when you were a child that told you, "Wow, this looks really fun. This is something I would really like to do"?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me here, John. It's always a pleasure. In regards to the question, well, I imagine it happens to practically every single animator out there, because at our time when we had television and such, we grew up watching cartoons, basically, right? We had Fox Kids, Cartoon Network at the time. We also here in Argentina had Matches Kids, which was also another wonderful program channel. Sorry. And in my particular case, I love a particular program on Cartoon Network that was Tsunami. It was a 2 hour section program that showcased 4 episodes of anime. Like you have like Dragon Ball, Inuyasha, Sakura Card Captor, Digimon, Pokemon. You have everything all there. And that very moment, with those particular shows, I fell in love with anime, with the way that with their characters, with the way that they tell stories that was way apart from the traditional American cartoons at the time. And as a child, I didn't know what was the magic behind it, but I knew that I wanted to do the same, to create my own characters, to tell my own stories. And that led me to pursue first uh, to draw me to study drawing, to study manga, and that led to animation, and one thing led to the other. Started, as you say, on advertisement mostly, and then on pandemic switched to games, and here I am enjoying life.
Well, is there a big? I mean, was there a big? Is there a big community, a gaming community, say in Buenos Aires where you're at? Was it hard finding your kind of tribe of other kids and people that were into the same things that you were?
Yes. Yes. At that time, like bullying was a thing. Today it's not, but at that time, you know that if you really like cartoons and anime, you were bullied. So that was me. And also, there was no much of kids like that like it, similar things as I. Of course, every single kid as a child watched and loved Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon and such, but it was really hard to find um, friends and such that feel the same passion as you, right? With just watching the cartoons, watching the Power Rangers or such. Um, so also in elementary school and on high school, there were like really few of them that I really connect with. And then in the middle of high school, I discovered, because I wanted also to I draw since I had like memory or such. Like every one of us draw since we are born, let's say, but it is at what time you quit drawing, right? It's not since when you draw, because we all draw since childhood, but it's when you quit drawing. In my case, I hadn't quit until when I got into 3D animation, mostly that I don't have that much of a time to continue doing illustration. Sorry out
Yeah.
there. Um, but that, for example, I wanted to was the only thing that I really felt connected. It wasn't piano, it wasn't football. With here, for example, in Argentina, it's really a thing. Like every single kid plays football, and in my case, I suck at it. I still suck at it. We have an amazing selection, but I suck at it. Um, and I found out like a really good teacher that not also teach drawing like comics and such, but teach specifically manga, which was the Japanese comic. Uh, so I was like around, I think 14 or 15 when I joined that course of studies. I don't know how to say it in English, and that was allowed me to see animation as a career path. In fact, if not, I will ended up like working as, I don't know, of or math teacher, or maybe uh, as a programmer or engineer. Who knows? Maybe as a programmer or engineer, I will end up earning much more income. But
Well, was that a concern? Was that a concern like for your family or your parents? Because I know a lot of parents, a lot of the creators I talk to, and even, mine to a certain degree, they want you to get in, they have a hard time figuring out how you're going to make a living drawing and doing cartoons. And they feel like they want you to have something safe or a job, the 9 to 5 insurance type thing. Was that, I mean, were your parents really supportive about your choice of what you wanted to do and really encourage you?
yes, I have the lucky that my parents supported me and what I wanted to pursue in life. It wasn't like something that they didn't saw coming, because they wanted to, I don't know, for me to do other things, like, I don't know, like again, like piano, football, and such, and so that I wasn't really connecting with anything rather than drawing on or such. Um, they were super supportive. In my particular case, for example, but I was doing like really good in school. I had like really great notes, so they didn't on my end, right, on their end, they didn't have any worries about my future, because they knew that I could uh, do good, do great, and perform in such. And I really wanted to pursue my passion, even though on other side, they did felt like, is this a career? Are you really going to earn money with this? Is a market out there who is doing this and such? And in that case, my teacher, my professor from the manga course, um, when I was in high school, was like super supportive into that thing, because he was Walter Taborda. Um, Rest in peace right
Yeah.
now, but it was an amazing drawing artist. He worked for the US, he worked for France, drawing comics. And here in Argentina, which was something that it really stood out with me, but he was having a really comfortable life. He was living on one of the best neighborhoods out here in Buenos Aires. Got two daughters, just chilling out Saturday, just teaching classes the entire day, and he did great. Had like a really great career, and it was because of him that uh, I animate myself basically to pursue that career, right? And also to tell my parents, hey, this is possible. And also because I was at that time, for example, but sharing the same room with people in the same vibe as me. We were all in the same wavelength, and I think I was, if not the youngest, one of the youngest there. So everyone was doing mostly multimedia careers. They were studying. There were ones that studying engineer, but also many of them studying multimedia courses of studies and such. So I had also a lot of feedback from them, if there was like a path to go. So it's tricky, because it wasn't like a breaking point of saying, yeah, this was the moment. It was one thing leading to another, and you just, if you really know what you want to do, just give it a try, pursue it, and somehow, you don't know, but somehow the dots will connect and will lead you where you need to go. That happened to me, and I don't regret any part of that
Yeah.
journey,
Yeah.
and it was amazing.
Wow. Yeah. 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 Well, what was that challenge? What was the first challenge that you kind of kind of had to overcome just when you first got into the industry? What was that hard thing that, it took you a minute to kind of get? Was it the pace of the work, or was it, the tools, getting familiar with the tools that you were using? What was that kind of thing that, or was it imposter syndrome that had a real big hard time with when you first came into the industry? What was that hurdle that you kind of had that first hurdle that you kind of had to overcome?
Well, I have kind of two different responses because the hardest thing, at least for me, was to get into the industry. That entry step was the hardest thing for me. It was just to, for you to give you an insight, but once I left high school, no, when I graduate, basically, I ended up all the studies for the as a animation cinema director. It took me about 2 years, 2 entire years to get my first job. So I was unemployed for 2 years. And that was a really hard pill to swallow. We can enlarge on that later if you want or whatever. But once I stepped into the industry, um, I already had the hunger, so the hunger to do everything and just to work. It was like someone is paying me to do this. How couldn't I be much more of happy about it? So it wasn't that much of the piecing or whatever. It was like watching, trying to understand the pipeline, right? Because it was way different from what I have studied. It's like you study and you know how it should go, but when you are there in the on the battlefield, in the studio, they have their own pipelines, their own things, to their own way to do things, also their own people. So maybe there is one person wearing multiple hats and handling a lot of the process, maybe not. So it was the first time adapting into it, I will say,
Mm,
the hardest part when I stepped in, and the rest just went with the flow. I never had uh, that big of a deal.
yeah, yeah. Everybody just jumping in. Mr. Dewan, I appreciate you tuning in there. Happy Saturday to you. He says, hey there, Oscar. As always, Dewan, I appreciate you tuning in and checking out the episode there. Um, for you, so 2 years, 2 years getting into the industry, how do you keep yourself encouraged and motivated through these 2 years? Because it's easy to kind of, like I said, wow, after a year, man, I'm just not finding anything. I'm not making any inroads. And it's easy to kind of just, quit and go off into a different direction. How do you keep yourself? How did you keep yourself motivated and encouraged through those 2 years of not working and getting into the industry?
It was hard. I almost didn't make it, to be honest. Um, I still keep fresh that memory, and it's both a blessing and a curse, I would say. And I think it's something that I believe is something that everyone in the industry should at least experience, if they haven't experienced it. So the first year, it wasn't that hard because I was like wrapping up some exams and project and short films that I needed to present to my university. And the final one was the thesis, basically. But when I planned out every single shot and every single background and how long it would take me, it was like, again, like, it was like 2 years of me just working 8 hours and seeing not seeing one penny of it. So uh, I didn't want to put that burden into my on the shoulders of my parents. So it was like, okay, I will, rather than that, focus on my demo reel, right? Because the one that I had, it wasn't like reaching to the studios that I wanted. It wasn't receiving that much feedback, or positive feedback, right, from emails at the time. Um, so I focused mostly on thinking of different shots and to redo it from scratch, right? Because it was first some things, do like a lot of emails, nothing there. Okay, trying again. And at the year and a half, I was also trying to look at other to send myself to look at other um, not professions but jobs, right? As a waiter,
Yeah.
right? For example, I couldn't even get a job as a waiter. I was like feeling like super down into that sense. And I recall that I was like I only need like one extra shot of a dragon landing to wrap up the demo reel that I was envisioning to send out to all the studios. I had like a spreadsheet with all the studios in Argentina, just to doing like a
Yeah.
massive shoot of emails with reels. Um, and I couldn't. I just woke up one day and I couldn't find the energy to wrap it up. I was like super depressed. It was like there was no point into just waking up from to 9 a.m. or 11 a.m. or 2 p.m. If I didn't have a job, it was kind of the same, and I couldn't find the energy. It wasn't. Uh, I was have been continuing uh, being like that if it wasn't because of my friends and my girlfriend at that time that really supported me, and they give me the energy that I needed to wrap up that shot, and I could wrap it up and send it. Um, and I was like, this is my last try. If I no, it was like super hard on it. I was like super depressed, and I was like, I cannot waste another year just trying to enter into the industry for an entry position. I was like, if I don't make it with this, I'm done. And I recall it as it was today. It was a Wednesday in the on the noon. Open up the spreadsheet, send around 60 emails, I
Wow.
will say, or something. So it was like a 60-40. I think 40. I'm over exaggerating, but 40 emails to different studios. And there was the basic reply of everything. Like, I will say, like 2022, there was absolutely no response. 10 of them were like an automatic response of thank you, we will have a consideration. Thanks for sending our real automatic response. Five of them, there were like, oh, this is interesting. We like it. We don't have a position or role for you right now, but we'll be in touch. And one, I only needed one. That it was a direct email from one of the producer of the studio. It was like, hey, we saw the reel. We really like it a lot. We currently have a film that we need to wrap up or to start and such. Is for HBO for a short film, and we need a Leo artist just for 1 week. Are you available on Monday? Of course, I was available on Monday. Of course, I was available on Monday. I jumped from the chair. I kissed my girlfriend at that time. I went to celebrate to Wendy's with one hamburger combo. And I started on Monday, and it was like, okay, it's just 1 week. It's just 1 week, and I need to lay out the entire short film. And by Wednesday, I was done. It was like 3.5 minutes of a lot of shots, and they were like, okay, we still have 2 days. Do you animate? Yes, of course I animate. I said, okay, okay, come also to the next week. Okay, 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 one more week, and they sent me a scene. Basically, it was like I think it was like 3 or 4 different shots for that scene. It was like 20 seconds long, I think. Um, and by the next week Tuesday, I have it also done. It was like this here. I have it done. You have it done? Yeah, this is all the shots. Okay. And I recall also as yesterday that the director that what I have like I would tell like I don't know 5 meters away of me in there came back came back, came to the computer, to the monitor, and it's like, okay, hit play, and he was watching it from my shoulder with the producer at the other side of me. Um, and I was super nervous. I was like this, just everything was tensions on my body. And at the half of the shot of the entire scene, he just pat my shoulder. I was like, excellent, Oscar. You are in charge of the entire short film. Just go. And I look at the producer, and we both look at each other with blank eye, like we couldn't understand. We understood nothing. So they they sent me apart to another a room. Okay, Oscar, just tell me, in what amount of time could you get done the entire short film? And I was, I don't know. It's 3 minutes and a half. I have to think how long it would take me. Uh, no, maybe this will take me 4 days. This one 5, or this one maybe 3, 2. Well, okay, let's continue. We'll just see. I ended up animated at the speed of. If I have to do it again today, I can. But it was animated at. I was getting done like 40 seconds per week of animation, and in the spur of 1 month and a half, I had the entire short film set up and done,
Wow.
and I never left the studio. I ended up working there for 2 years and a half,
Wow.
most almost 3 years. And in fact, I was the one that quit it to pursue another career, and I quit it in the middle of the pandemic because I'm a madman. But
Wow. Like
and
you said, it
that
only
was the
takes
start of it.
one. It only takes one
It
to do
only
it.
takes one, but that one, God, that I suffered that one. Once that you, because this, I don't know if the studios realize how much of a difference could they make to the life of an employee or an artist, right? And mostly to entry levels and juniors. It's like, as a junior, you are really waiting for that opportunity, for
Yeah.
someone to trust in you,
Yeah.
because you will give the everything, the 120% into the
Yeah.
project. That's what it marks and set apart the difference.
Well, do you think that's the big thing now is that because I hear it a lot, and I've heard it too. They want you to have experience, but you can't get in to get experience, to get the experience. Do you think that's the big thing that creators today are, especially newcomers, like I said, they're not finding those, I guess, or they're more concentrated on the bigger studios rather than getting in at the smaller studios and just getting their foot in the door. Do you think that's the issue that a lot of, say, newcomers are? They're going after these Disney, Sony, Pixar roles and, AAA games rather than just going at the little small to mid-level studios to kind of get in there and kind of get the chops of working. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes. I don't think so. Nowadays, from what I can see, because it's even harder for myself to find work, and I have all the years of experience. Even for myself, it's getting super hard. But what I'm looking is that nowadays there are two new blockers that maybe we didn't have before. The first one, of course, is AI, but no AI doing your job, but AI just filtering your resume, right? Your CV. So if you don't have a resume that can surpass the ETS filters, you're done, right? Then there is no even a human person reading your profile or whatever, right? So for all the open position post and such that you could send to them, is getting super hard for someone to even notice nowadays. That also, it happens to be, at least for me, also the best way to present yourself is to stay active on social media, mostly on LinkedIn. You don't need to be like a, a an expert, a senior with an amazing shot. You just need to be there and to show that you're available, you're doing things, you're working on your shots, and you are open to work. And luckily, someone nearby your area or um, your continent will see your shot, will be interesting, and will hire you, or at least have a chat.
Yeah.
That also that helps a lot. And the second one is a change in the business model. It's money basically. Nowadays, no one has money. Like there's money for nothing. Even AI is a deficit, right? The only company that's just making money out of this is Nvidia.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
um
They're making a killing.
you can see that every single studio, even major studios, are just letting off like a lot of professionals that have been there for 20 plus years, like veterans, right? And it's not because they are not good anymore, but because there is no money. If there is no money even for those, uh, will it be money for you if you are a junior? Because right now you don't also have to compete with another entry level position junior. You have all right now to compete with a senior one, willing to do the same job as you for the same pay cut.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, so what do you feel, like I said, the impact that AI and generative AI, particularly in this industry, especially with what you do with games, has it, have you seen made a big impact with the studios as far as them shying away from AI or kind of leaning into AI? I know there's this big thing about people really saying this was made by hands and letting people know that it was made by hands. Do you feel, is that what you're seeing? A lot of studios are kind of leaning more AI or kind of leaning more towards, hey, we want people to know that, this was hand done, made by humans, and is for humans, made by humans.
Um, Depends on the studio, but the vast majority is like no, they're not even embracing AI to do the work. Uh, you could do it on films or in clips, even though it's not as a good product, the AI result. But because the final product is usually a clip, and what AI iterates on is usually video and images and such, is kind of manageable or usable. But in games where you are handling with files, mostly with FBX, with Maya files, Blender files, like working inside the engine, and you're getting really specific into it. Um, there's no studio that I've known that is using AI for the creative stuff. Not even that I think on concept art things, which is kind of thing that you could replace. But the thing is that the AI failed with the intent, right? When you have like a specific art direction, right, to be consistent throughout the game, the AI falls super short to fulfill that vision, that mission, right? Because um, you could tell no, improve this, improve that, but it won't give you the result that you want, and that's where the human hands and the human craftsmanship gets valuable again, because at least for us in games, because it's a lot of interactive files interacting with itself, right? Um, you kind of nowadays don't have like a generative AI that can produce an entire game from the dust, and if it can, it's crap. Like it's a game that you won't buy, and I think it's usually also some videos talking about this market that it's just companies creating games and selling it to basically wash laundry money, but
Yeah, yeah, wow.
it's a really far away at least thing for us in the gaming industry.
Wow, wow. Everybody just jumping in. We're having a fun and amazing conversation with our guest and friend, Mr. Oscar Hector Castro, gameplay animator, Girls versus Aliens. Appreciate you showing up there. Happy Saturday to you. I know Oscar appreciates you tuning in as well. Was there anything that surprised you when you initially got in, you got that first job? Was there anything like, oh, and you got in there that you was like, okay, this is something I didn't anticipate?
There is one that it I don't know how even to describe it, but I felt like super angry with my professors, with my teachers when I discovered it. It was when we were studied and starting to work on 3D and animating in 3D. We needed to do like a really short, a small short film with entire, with all the
Yeah.
students there. A few of them were handling the modeling, a few of them were handling the rigging, a few of them were handling the animation and such. And the thing was that we kind of couldn't jump into the next process until the previous one was done. Like they couldn't do the rig before the modeling was done, and we couldn't do the animation before the rig was done. And if we were like just animating the puppet or whatever, and they suddenly changed the shader or putting it a hat on it, we needed kind of to reimport the rig and do the entire animation again. And I was like, there is no way this is the thing to do it. And the first thing that I noticed, which if I'm telling you for the people that is at the other side will sound pretty obvious, but it wasn't when I was a student. And I cannot believe that not a single teacher told us about that, was to work with references. So you could keep on working on the rig while you were animating because it was just a file calling another file. You were not importing the file. And that was the first thing that I noticed when working with on the first job, because I was worried. No, but now I need, when I started, no, I need the rig finished because I won't animate this twice. And the riggers just look at me with weird eyes and what? Yes, I need the rig wrap up, but where is in references? Reference what? References. Like
Reference.
you're just calling and this is the nomenclature that you need to follow, and I was like, oh my god, I discovered Babylonia suddenly. So that was the first thing that really stood
Oh
out with
man,
me.
now that's surprising because again,
Yeah.
most you figure most animators, that's that's the first thing they say: get reference, get a lot of reference, footage, whatever you need, use reference.
No, but not reference to work on, but the file itself. Like you have the rig file, you don't need on Maya, right? Let's talk with Maya. You have the model and the rig with the UVs, the shaders, and everything, and you want to animate that puppet. You don't need to import. You don't necessarily need to import that character into a new Maya scene. You can call the file, right? Just for the file to grab the file if you know the location of that file, right? Uh, and that nowadays sounds super obvious to me. It wasn't, but what I was it was, I don't know if it was the teacher that didn't know it or it was a new implementation at that time in Maya. Could it be? Could not. But that was the very first thing that really stood out and stick with me when
Well,
working.
man, and like I said, that's crazy. We're gonna try to take a look at Oscar's demo reel, and then kind of jump back and ask some more questions because I definitely want to dive into kind of your kind of top three things that you feel like a gameplay animator or somebody interested in games and animation should focus on or concentrate on. Let's take a look at some of Oscar's work, and we'll come right back. Let's hope this works.
累啊。What? Oh. Not that making any terms, don't worry about it. It's just grab a cup of tea or coffee or drink of preference. That's it, in my case. And relax for a couple of minutes. And of course, please enjoy.
Soles of my shoes are worn, the knees of my jeans are torn. Sweat coming through my shirt, keep pushing even though it hurts. I'm chasing what I know is true, there's nothing that I would not do. And everyone around me drops, I'm never gonna ever stop.
Pero lo que nació como un cuento de tías se convirtió en una siniestra realidad.
I'm a man on a mission. I'm a man on a mission. I don't need no permission. I'm a man. I ain't waiting in mission. I got that ambition. I'm a man on a mission. When you look into my eyes, you know you're gonna see that fire. If you're standing in my way, it ain't gonna be your day. Bleed it till I own this dream. Build it like you never seen. Even at the mountaintop, I'm never gonna ever stop. I won't wait another minute, no, I won't. I'm a man on a mission. I'm a man on a mission. I don't need no permission. I'm a man on a mission. I ain't waiting in mission.
Miles de niños que desaparecen al diablo, ausentes para siempre, simplemente por desobedecer.
Vas a morir, Mo.
I love it. I love it. Oh man, I want you to, because it's amazing work. What would you say are the top like 3 things that a game, somebody thinking about getting into game and animation should focus on and work on? What do you say are the like? What would be your top 3 or 4 things that you think an up and coming person should keep in mind and work on in order to get into the industry?
Well, the fundamentals of animation, of course. You could focus much more on which one, even though everyone is important. In fact, with games, it adds another 3 fundamentals. One of them that I will mostly focus is the reactiveness, because with what is distinctive from gameplay animation from other clips, usually, and other type of animation is the player itself. You need to be reactive, right? For
Yeah.
the player, if it press a button and it imports puts that input for the character to respond, basically. So I will focus mostly for your animations to be responsive. You could practice them to be snappier, to be flowy in a certain way. There are a lot of amazing animators out there that you could take a reference from. The second one, everyone will tell you, of course, to learn the engine. Mostly Unreal is free. You can download it. You can play a bit with it. Um, but also, at least from my experience, if you want to take a role into the as an animator, also if you're on an entry level position, they usually won't tell you to implement animations or hook them up or create the blueprints or the state machines that's usually there. And if not, you have the engineering team that is handling those parts of the game. So I was mostly focusing on improving your animation skills, most of it. Like, take notice that it will have to look good on engine, right? So you have to export your animations on a certain way, but usually you will have someone that will support you and help you with that. So don't focus too much on the technical stuff and focus much more on the creative stuff. Where your work is, where your value is. You need to be creative. You need to be artistic. You are an artist, right? And that's why the three things that I will focus more as an artist for games. First, the reactiveness, right, of your whatever animation you're doing. If it's an attack, if it's an enemy, you will need much more of anticipation. Second one is the arcs, mostly. It's a comprehension of anything, of everything, but track the arcs that does the body mechanics of your your shots, sorry. If you're trace if you're working with melee animations, trace the swing of the sword, trace the hips, trace everything, like really try to watch it close, and it has to look good from every single perspective, because if you're working for uh, uh, third person MMORPG, you don't know from where the player will look at the character or
Yeah.
the enemy. So try to make it look good for every single perspective.
Yeah.
Right? Focus on
Yeah.
that.
I think you.
And the third one at the last uh, is the thing what be unique, like exaggerate. Find something that you won't see out there, right? Like everyone is doing like heavy lifting sword attacks or something of the sort. So try to animate something that it hasn't been seen before, and that will stand out on your demo reel.
Yeah. Now you brought up a great point of being conscious that gameplay animation is while it's animation is totally different from traditional animation. You have to think about, like you said, from the users and the characters perspective of just how the character, because it's going to be something that a user interacts with. It has to animate, so you have to be kind of conscious of that. Was that a hard jump for you when you moved into games to think of it from, okay, the user experience type of thing? Whereas, like I said, it's not like film and somebody's just watching it. It's a game where a user is actually physically controlling, the character. Was that a hard
Yeah.
thing for you to kind of grasp moving into, gameplay animation?
No, for me, in fact, it was a blessing. Because on films or whatever, the shots are usually longer. It involves a lot of storytelling, of lip sync, or of body mechanics on a long period of time. And even though you can fake it with where is the camera, right? So you can do some tricks here and there. So if there is a middle shot, you won't animate the legs or whatever. But in games, you have to animate everything in gameplay animation. But also because it is for games and engine, the animations are like super short. Like they last between, I don't know, half of a second and 4 seconds, maybe as the longest. So you have like a really small frame length for you to focus on, and that will allow you to focus more on the polishing of the polish side of the animation, and really looking at your animation from every single perspective, adjusting the wave, adjusting the pose, adjusting like pushing the pose. So for me was super enriching because it gave me the push that I needed. For example, that I could really dedicate time to polish the animations that I wanted to deliver it as the best possible result that I could. So it's not a much of a big of a deal, to be honest.
Awesome, awesome. Mr. Dewan, appreciate. Let's throw this in here. Epic work. Oscar, my favorite clip in the reel might be those little square shaped characters fighting on a blank white background. Which was that from? Which project was that from? Was that a
Personal
project or
project.
was that a
Personal
personal
project.
project?
There was, in fact, was like I animated it in Toon Boom, Toon Boom Harmony, and I animated it as a I don't know how to say it, but a pre-plan to animate it later in 3D. Those cube you can find it. In fact, you can find the rig in 3D. It exists. It calls Cubis rigs, and it was made by also an Argentinian animator, Francisco Cerchiara Montero. That right now I think is working in Canada. I don't know if on Frame Store or from there. I do that basically those drawing because I wanted to animate them attacking in that sense. But I like it too much the 2D animation that I made and never ended up animating it in with the rigs in 3D. So sorry about that.
Hey, whether it's to boom, personal project or whatnot, it was amazing for sure. I am not even. Let's see, CT to you, que grande Oscar.
Mariana Fernán. Gracias, Mariana.
Miss Maggie, appreciate you showing up there. That was so good. You have a unique style. Was there because a lot of that stuff almost I liked it because it had that kind of edgy, arcane kind of style. I liked a lot of the motion graphics that you were doing in there, and especially that the scientist that you did
The thing.
had a great look. Did it take you a while to kind of find your kind of lane of your style, kind of your unique style? Did it take you a minute to kind of fall into your unique style?
Um, I don't know how to respond to that because I don't know if I had if I have a style. Also, of course, I'm not even close to the arcane style. They are like top tier. It's like it's for Teach, the for Teach Studio. It's like God.
Yeah, that's the pinnacle there
And
for Tish.
and also in regards to that, for example, like to find your style is a super common question, for example, with drawing artists, right? If you draw comics or manga or whatever, that you can really tell the difference in the drawing style from Ichiro Oda or Tito Kubo or
Yeah.
like you could see any manga that has their own style, and they ask, for example, those mangakas where how they develop their own style. And I think is and what they all say is that it's something that finds you. It's like it's not you trying to force your style into it. It's something that it will come up eventually because of all the things that you love. Like if you consume a lot of Bleach, for example, Bleach the anime, most of your drawing style will drive closely to that style, and you will incorporate a lot of different reference and will create something of your own. It's like you you are unique already in your own way. You just have to let it be and to discover yourself through your work.
Yeah, yeah. You brought up Fortiche. What was your because obviously Arcane, League of Legends is a game. I didn't realize how big a game it was, even how big of a thing it is until I started watching Arcane and behind the scenes kind of come from League of Legends stuff. What did you think of the translation from gaming that game into what it was on Netflix? How did you think they translated it? Because they had to flesh it out into something much longer and much bigger. Um, and I know a lot of games now, at least at the beginning of the game, it's almost like a mini film that they then drop you into the game type of thing. How did you kind of find Fortishave's, you know, kind of transitioning a game into an animation?
Uh, it's a complicated question. It was not by casualty, in fact, and what they did was massive. Like, was I don't have even words for to describe it. But the secret of a good adaptation, you will notice in any single adaptation, is usually in the pre-production. For example, with For Teach, Arcane was basically the how to say the conclusion, the conclusion of something that they were already making with Riot. What I'm saying with this, you will know that Riot with League of Legends, from time to time they release like little short
Mm-hmm.
films to promote a new champion, or maybe to promote the worlds, which is the esports, that where they gather the teams from all over the world to compete for the mayor prize and such. So they are constantly reaching out to different studios like the Line, which is at 2D Studios, or For Teach, to create a piece of 4 minutes long animation clip to sell that mood, that idea. And with Fortich, they call them, I think twice. They call them at first, what I can recall, with Shinx, Get Shinx, where it was like the first clip where they mix 3D animation with 2D VFX, and it ended up la
Yeah.
creme of the creme, a cream of the cream. And the second one was with Rice. I think it was in 2019 or 18. 2018, I think it was,
Yeah.
where they also was incredible. And what Radio said was, hey, we want to make, if we make a series, we want it with this style. You will notice that after that clip, kind of all the different clips that they release look similar to that Fortiche approach. And what they have done before Arcane was also to create like a small, it is online, you can watch it. It's a small clip of, I think, 9 minutes long or something of the sort, to test the
Yeah.
art approach of just by fighting with
Okay.
Chase, sorry.
Yeah.
Um, and after that, they basically put like a ton of money
Yeah.
into it, because money is not always the answer, but it's kind of always the solution. So because they just throw like a ton of money to for teach, and it's like made us out of this. And
Oh
they was
man.
like, okay, I think I can no, I can accept this. I can't and I can give you a movie. I will give a series. I will give you like 9 movies. Like every single episode is a 1 hour long
Yeah.
movie quality, and it's amazingly
Yeah.
done.
Amazing. And they did, like I said, they did a ton of episodes and hand drawn. Like I said, it was so amazingly done. Um,
And
like
again, it wasn't the first time that they done it. This they kind of repeated what they've done with the short films, right? It's like we already know that it is possible. We already achieved that style. So now we have to make it on a major scale, and that major scale comes with their own risk, with their own pipeline
yeah.
budget, with their own ups and downs. But I don't know how they done it so well, so well. I only have words of appreciation to
Yeah,
for
I
teach.
think like I said, it's one. Arcade was like it was like Spider Man. It was just one of those pivotal movies that just made such an impact on style, animation, and everything. It was like, yeah, and they just did a beautiful job. Mr. Dwan has another question here. Thanks for answering my question, Oscar. Speaking of Toon Boom, how do you feel about the software eliminating perpetual licenses in favor of only subscription based plans? And that's another great question, because that's another thing that's facing artists, and a big challenge for artists, especially those ones that are trying to get into the business. they know they need. Obviously, they have a most software have students and kind of a lower version, but a lot of companies, a lot of software companies now are going the subscription route, which is making it very hard for the indie starter person to really get onto the software. Of course, you got great companies like Unreal and Blender that are free, that you can do such amazing work. But still those big ones that are entrenched in the studios that are kind of the mainstream ones like Maya and Toon Boom and all the other ones, Adobe, they're all going kind of subscription. What are your
Yep.
thoughts on just that, as far as making it? That's kind of a hurdle for challenges for artists, some artists, to be able to afford these perpetual monthly subscriptions when they're just trying to get into the industry.
Right. I will give you two different response. The first one, you will want to have it, and the second one, you will maybe want to remove it from this clip. So the first one, it is like nowadays, like the people know, the companies, they really don't like the one the paying just once, and you already own the program, like, and it's something that it will stick from here and the future, right? Like every single program that you could think of is going to be a subscription thing. Like you have to subscribe to life, right? To live
Well,
on
I
it,
mean, there
basically.
are some, like I said, there are some companies now. Eventually, you don't know, because you never know what a company is
Mm.
eventually going to do. But I will say, like Da Vinci, it's
It is a business. It's a business model for them. It's much more easier to um, uh, it's less risky, right? It's like they know how much users they have, so they kind of know the amount of dollars basically that they will have to support the development of other things. So it's mostly a risk decision base, and it won't change. Sorry. And of course, I don't like it. Not no one likes it, right? And the second response that I will give you is that paying for a program is usually not a barrier. And I will say it, I will, if I will have, I will just raise the flag, a pirate flag from One Piece or something of the sort. Um, but I can't think of any single, sorry, but any single studio here in Argentina or artists or whatever that had paid for the vast majority of the programs that they use. Uh, so there are ways for you to really kind of get access to those
yeah.
programs. Of
Well,
course,
yeah,
I will speak from myself, but in my case, for example, when I have studied, Autodesk, for example, offers a student's license, so you can get into a program and play with it.
yeah, I
Unreal is
play
free,
with it.
but for the programs that are they're not, you can find the cracks basically, right? To even though have your programs and learn it, because it's a tool, and it's a tool that you have to master. And you can't pay basically to master the tool. You really need to learn it and to incorporate it to then get paid for that, right? So uh, don't get afraid to find ways to get the program either way.
Well,
As I say, uh, many studios here in Argentina, even though they have paying subscriptions and licenses for the program, I'm not saying that they don't, but some of them, they don't have it. And think about it, not for if you're living, I don't know where you're living, if in the US or in Europe, but think on uh, third countries, right? Like Argentina or India. Uh, they can't afford a program. They can't. They will just crack it and
yeah.
get the work done.
Well, what do you think about these companies? Like I said, now you got software out there like Blender, which is almost as powerful. And like I said, hey,
Yeah, it's getting better and better. That's
you
great.
look at Flow, you can see that it's got the quality of an Oscar-winning movie that you can do, and you can do obviously a lot of stuff. What do you think about these softwares and tools out there now? Like you said, there really isn't an excuse now for not being able to learn anything, because you can get software to learn your skill and get better at your skill now, especially now that you're getting software like Unreal that gives it to you up to a certain point that you can learn it and really get familiar with it. You got blend tools like Blender out there. If you're really an illustrator and don't want to go the Adobe route, Krita is a great illustration tool. So there's a lot of great tools out there that are low or very inexpensive. What do you think about this time now that we're in as creatives?
For me, it's great. I think that like again, it's a tricky question. With Blender, for example, which is great, and it's great to have a 3D program to be free for you to work on it and to have your own license, right? But think about the people that are making those programs and such, that they need to troubleshoot, or they need a support team and such, and they need to grab money from somewhere,
Oh yeah,
whatever. In the case of Blender, it's a foundation, for example, right? It works amazing, and you have more and more studios investing into Blender to be a great program. And it's mostly because Autodesk, for example, is super expensive for those studios, so they can basically save a ton of money if they move to Blender, right? In that case, two different responses. With the first one, right, to move into Blender and such, think that you as an artist, if you're an independent artist, you can use whatever program you want.
yeah,
Like, you don't have to stick with a single program. Like, use the one that you really find more
yeah,
comfortable working with. But if you're working in games, for example, which is the case of this interview, you have to accommodate with the pipeline of that studio. And if that studio is using Maya and you don't have Maya experience, you will have to
yeah,
learn Maya. You will have to learn Unreal, and you will have to stick with the program that they are using. So it's a question of not if Blender is a good or a bad program, but if it's the default program of the industry, if it's the standard, right?
yeah,
You really want to learn the standard, and then maybe switch for, I don't know, the lighting process, or using the nodes feature to do shaders or something of the sort. They are really great features. And also, it have never been easier to learn a program. You have tons and tons and tons of clips there on YouTube to learn from.
yeah.
Uh,
YouTube
have never been
University.
easier.
You can learn anything you want out there. There's an answer for. You can just hop on YouTube and find an answer for. Mr. Dewan, he is in Canada. Based in Canada. What was for you, what was the best advice that somebody gave you that really, that you go back to every now and again?
Oof. Uh, I don't know if there was particularly a word, but it wasn't like a person that every time that if I have to respond to this, there are three people that comes into my mind, and are my parents and my manga teacher. And it was basically to pursue my dreams. Like, if you really want to do something and you really feel it, like, uh, put everything into it to pursue it. um, it really stick with me. Like, you don't, again, it's tricky because it's not like you really need to be great into what you are doing. You need to be consistent. You need to really love what you do, and it really tells. You can really tell when a person loves its work, its job and such. It really stands out from the crowd. And if you have a passion into doing a thing, and I'm not talking about animation itself. Could be anything. Could be skateboarding. Could be just playing Dungeons and Dragons. And I like so much Dungeons and Dragons that now I'm going to animate Tiefling just doing a combo attack with whatever here in Maya. You can really tell if you put passion into what you do, and you won't feel the burden of working into it. That kind of revolves to the time that I had like 2 years unemployed. It was like I really wanted to break into the industry because I really wanted to pursue my passion, and I don't feel that all the time that I really invested into learning this skill, this path was wasted. It was like I have something to tell. I have something to show, and I really want to be part into this.
Well, I mean, is there anything now that you want to do that would push you? You know, like you said, we're always constantly trying to push ourselves and get better. What's that thing now that you're looking to that I want to try this to push my skill even further that you haven't done to this point or feel like you've gotten to this point?
uh, Learning much more of Unreal. Like there is constantly a ton of features that release every single day, every single week, and you get outdated super fast. And more if you are like a senior and if you want to be lead and principal animator and supervisor, you really need to know how the engine works and to get updated, right? And the other thing also is like keep on learning 3D animation from other artists. Like every single one have their own way to manage their craft, their own tips and tricks here and there, and you can always learn one or two things that you can use to improve your own animation. So and it's kind of the burden and the beauty of it. It's like it's a never-ending process. It's a journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
It never ends. It
Never
really
ends.
never ends. And it's both frustrating and beautiful because it's like, now I know how to animate. No, you don't. It's like once you think that you know, you realize that you don't, and it's super frustrating. So it will happen every single day.
Never catch up. I say, you know, you see, and like you said, even season. I mean, like I said, animators that have been in the industry 50 years or plus, they say they're still learning. They're still discovering things. They're still figuring out new things. Because, like you said, you get something one day, and by the end of the day, it's outdated, and you're behind, and something new is coming for sure. How do you feed that creativity outside? Because I got into this conversation with a couple other
Mm.
friends of mine, talking about just outside interests outside of games and animation. What are the things that you do that helps to feed into your creativity of animating for games? Are there things that outside of games that help to fuel your passion and fuel the things that you think about when you sit down to do gaming?
Uh, the first one, of course, in my particular case, is anime. Like I love anime. I watch it every single day. I'm up to date with the new season's anime. But again, it is animation. But I deeply love it, and I try also to hide like Easter eggs in all the animations that I've done or the games I've done with some reference here and there. Besides that, it's like any kind of form of arts. Like read. I usually read fictional novels. I'm not so much into other type of stuff, even though I read it, but mostly that. I also dance.
Oh wow,
I dance
dance.
West Coast swing.
Okay.
Yeah, and it gives like any social activity serves you to unwind. I play Dungeons and Dragons, and Dungeons and Dragons, for example, or any type of role game, it really forces you to think outside the box, right? And it's help at least for me. It helped me a lot to think of characters and such. And uh, it's not so related, but it helped me a lot with combat stuff. For example, I do medieval combat. Uh, so it's not the same to animate a character wearing armor than being you wearing that armor trying to swing the sword. Like you realize how heavy the stuff is, and you know that we like in animation to exaggerate the poses and the timing to sell the idea. But when you wear the armor, it's like, man, we are like lying it a lot. We are selling it a lot because it's really tough. And
No, I have
you
all the
won't see any
respect.
feature film again.
Yeah, no, I have so much respect for animators, whether it's traditional animators or whether it's gameplay animation for games, because it's very hard to get realistic, like I said, to get the weight, the dynamics, the facial, all of that together. It's very hard and it's a very skilled thing to do. You're almost, like I said, an actor, slash everything, trying to make something that's inanimate believable and have weight,
Yeah,
you know. And we're
you
taking,
have to process it in your own body.
yeah, and we're taking a look at some of Oscar's work. Like I said, you do very beautiful work. Like I said, are there other things? What other things do you want to explore in the future? You want to get good at leading teams and really helping creators, but is there kind of a north star as far as a project or thing that you're kind of going towards?
Uh, yes, kind of there are two. First one, well, of course, I want to continue uh, developing in my career and such, and to reach not also as the position of animation director, but mostly creative director. I will really like, because I loved it, but be involved in the entire process of the making, right, of the idea, for the idea to survive from the concept art through its implementation, right? So I could be involved in with the concept art lead, with the modeler, with the rigger. It's like nowadays I think that kind of the only thing that I don't know as much is modeling, of course. And though I studied sculpture with clay, but
Yeah,
of course it's not the same. Of course. Um, and also I would like to have much more time to basically write and to do script,
yeah, yeah,
so you can really put those ideas into paper, and then you can basically but remove the noise, keep the thing that you want to tell, and make a project out of it. But first you need to learn the basics of the script, like how a story is told, why it's interesting, how to captivate the audience, right? And those are all things that you will notice in films, with the director and with the basically the script writer.
yeah.
So it's kind of learning those roles to incorporate into your into my journey, my particular journey. um,
Mhm. Like I said, he does some, as you can see, Oscar does some amazing,
and
amazing.
those were really old. Those had like 10 years old. It has been a
So
lot that
he's
I
only
don't
gotten
draw.
better
I mean,
since then.
sorry. Well, when I studied drawing, it was to do this thing. But it was like impossible to find a job. Like nowadays, you have Patreon, you have like other ways to find yourself. But
Yeah.
back in those days,
Well, what
it
you
was a
you
secret.
well, you're wanting to, like I said, kind of eventually, write and develop your own story. What are as we start to, like I said, we've been having a fun conversation, everybody. Definitely make sure you jump in here. We're already running on an hour and a half, and I'm happy because we haven't froze or anything.
Yes.
I'm ecstatic, everybody. I'm telling you, because if you've been stuck with me the last 3 episodes, we had a hard time making it through. Uh, what are those kind of stories that I can see? You say you love, and by your artwork, you love manga, and what are those kind of stories that you're kind of itching to tell through manga? Is it a genre of, say, horror, love? I mean, what?
Seinen. In Japan, there are like different genres to for the story that you want to tell. Like usually the ones that we uh, as a mainstream know, like Dragon Ball, Bleach, Naruto, and such, are for a younger male audience, and that genre is shonen. And for the adult target is seinen, where you can really put a bit more deep into much more thoughts into conflicts and internal conflicts, right? With stories much more darker, like Shingeki no Kyojin or Death Note or Ghost in the Shell and such. In my particular case, I would love to have like a mix of shonen and seinen, like Full Metal Alchemist does. Right? It's like no matter what age you are, you can really watch that series, and every single time that you watch it, you will find out something new that maybe when you were young you haven't realized, except for the Chimera episode that was awful. But also with fantasy and science fiction, but mostly fantasy, not an isekai. I'm tired of that. Like everything right now is isekai. Please don't make any more isekai. Uh,
Well, do you
but yeah,
see any kind of, or have you kind of met anybody from, say, Buenos Aires, Argentina, that is pulling, say, kind of that kind of lore, some kind of lore or story, Argentinian, kind of flavor to you? Is there any kind of native story or folklore that you come across that you thought would translate very well into anime and what you're doing?
no, the stories are, it's a separate thing. The stories are of your own, right? And you can reinterpret them, and they will be unique in the way that you uh, told those stories. On script, I can't recall right now, but there are only 36 conflicts that can be told. There are no more. There are only 36 different types of stories, like man versus God, man versus the society, or but there are only 36. All the rest are interpretations through different characters, different stories, different setups, and such. So the vision is the good thing is like whatever you make will be unique and original in your own way, because you have your unique way to see the world that no one else has. But everyone or the rest could um, resonate with, right? Can retell. And talking about this, for example, so with that sense, the anime is just a medium to tell that story in the same way that is a book, in the same way that is a game. You just need to find the right vehicle to tell your story. Like Undertale could not be told through a book
Yeah.
or through a film. And in that regards, for example, nowadays, if you want, this is homework for you if you're watching, but there is an Argentinian studios that is kind of developing an anime series, uh, which is called Electro Andes, the series. And right now, or I think it already done, but it was on the Annecy Festival, and you can watch
Tennessee.
the trailer of the first episode. Is marvelous, and it grabs, for example, is if you see is the genre is a mix of seinen and steampunk, right? Where you can really tell a lot of reference from anime, and they grab the lore, the native lore of here in Argentina
Mm,
and many other Latin American country to tell that story. So you will find like a lot of gods that are native in here that even we don't know, right? Because we are so used to see the stories from
yeah.
Europe or
The
from the
mainstream
US.
type of, yeah, the typical mainstream type of stories and animations and things like that. I think you are starting, which is why I love this kind of time that we're in, and the availability of different softwares and tools that creatives now can express themselves and express their stories creatively. And there's so many, and don't feel like they're bound by having to tell a story one way. And so I'm excited about all the different types of animations, stories, characters that you're starting to see. Creators are starting to experiment not only with the tools, but with just the stories that they're coming up with and situations that they're putting their characters in. So I'm excited. That's why I love this time that we're in as creators, and I think it's a great time to be a creative, really, despite the challenges of just studios laying off and this and that. I think it's still a great time that we're in to be a creative.
It will always be.
So, yeah, I think so.
Like it's an experience, but it is the reason. Like art is the reason that we can live life, and so like you can survive through the day, but if you step across a really nice piece of music or film or a game, those are the moments where you really feel alive and you feel connected within your soul with the soul of everyone else. Like art, like you can go through life just surviving, but art gives life a meaning, and that's the beautiful about our job, right? That we can add a bit of that, right, of our time into the human history, right, of it.
No, I agree. Everybody just jumping in. We've been having a fun conversation with my man Oscar here, gameplay animator. We've been here for an hour and a half. And as we kind of bring this train into the station, um, what what do you want the viewers, our viewers, what do you want to leave our viewers with? What do you want them to walk away from and feel like, let me put this into action now, um, and apply it and have it, be something that works for them.
Oof, could be anything. To be honest, it will vary from person to person. Like
It will
you
vary
cannot
from
say,
person to
like,
person.
if I will say just try it, give it a try and try it, and who knows what the people out there will try, right? So
And like
but
Oscar said, it only takes one thing to change that
it only
one
takes
thing to
one.
change your life. That one
Yeah.
opportunity to change your life.
um
Let me see if it'll work. I always like dropping bombs on nuggets that my guests drop, and Oscar's dropped a lot. Like I said, if you go back and watch this, Oscar's dropped a lot of nuggets in here, and it ultimately is keep going. It only takes one person to open up that door for you and crack that door that you can come into with it. Um, Oscar, we've been having an amazing conversation. I cannot thank you enough for coming on and just being a part of the Color and Motion family. You guys need to make sure that you connect with Oscar. I only showed a fraction. He sent me a ton of stuff. I only showed.
only the images.
We'll have to save
Like for
those
all the
for.
animations, you will have to go.
He sent me a ton of stuff. We'll have to save those for part 2 of his episode when he comes back on for sure. And hopefully, I know he'll have some new stuff. But you guys got to make sure that you connect with Oscar because he's super talented. And like I said, I only showed a fraction of his work. Check out his Vimeo page. Check out his ArtStation page for sure because you'll find a lot of great stuff on there. Definitely, you can connect with him on LinkedIn. That's how I connected with him. And check out his YouTube channel. Subscribe and share, just like you should be doing with me as well. But you can find much, much more great work and get connected with him. He's super talented brother and super friendly brother. And I appreciate, you being a part of the Color of Motion family and coming on and really sharing. And you're always welcome. Always the door is open. All you gotta do is just say, "Hey Don, I want to come back on the show." That's all you gotta say.
Anytime. You just
Anytime.
drop me a comment and I will be in here.
Anytime. And definitely, as I always say, I always look forward to meeting my guests and friends in person. I met a couple that I've had on in person, and super looking forward to when we finally get a chance to break bread in person, Oscar, for sure. Uh, everybody, again, just tuning in. Let's give Oscar another great big thank you for being a part of the show. Oscar, if you could hang out in the green room while I close out the show so I can talk to you afterwards, I would appreciate it. But again, everybody, let's give a big shout out to Oscar. Appreciate it, Oscar. Hang out for a second there, brother, and I'll be
Was a
right with
pleasure.
you. Man, oh man, I'm happy. I am so I am so happy because, like I said, if you guys have been sticking with me the last 3 episodes, yeah, it's been a rocky. It's been a rocky one. So this one was a good one. We made it through. So Oscar must be my good luck charm. Hopefully that's a good sign that the rest of this quarter is going to go well. But again, I cannot thank you, the viewers, for giving me a little bit of your time on Saturday afternoon. I always appreciate you showing up, being a part of the show. This was a great one. Mr. Dewan, I always appreciate you being a part of the show, and I know Oscar appreciates you as well. Have a great weekend. Make sure that you check us out next week because we're going to have another great episode for sure. Next week is kind of a flashback, well, comeback episode. David Walker, CEO and founder of Solid Comics, is coming back. Actually, he was supposed to be on July 1st, but obviously, like I said, we started off with some serious technical difficulties, so we had to reschedule him. So we scheduled him for next week. So he will be on next week again. Make sure you tune in because it's going to be a fun one. And I'm looking forward to finally sitting down with David and having a great conversation. He has some great comics that we're going to dive into. All righty. Man, oh man, again, I can't thank you enough for hanging. We did have a little technical difficulty with Instagram. I'll have that ironed out by next week, and we'll be back on Instagram. But again, can I thank you enough for giving me a little bit of your time? I will see you next week. Make sure you have a great rest of your weekend, a great and productive week, and I will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Cheers, everybody.